They say time can heal all wounds, but some scars remain as a constant reminder of what we've lost and what we've fought to gain. 5 years ago, I had nothing but a heart full of love and a pocket full of dreams. I thought that was enough. I thought she was the one I'd build my life with, the one who saw the man I was, not the balance in my bank account. I remember that day like it was yesterday. The rain was pouring down, mirroring the storm in my heart. Her parents sat across from me, their faces cold and unyielding. "You're a good kid," her father said, his voice laced with a pity that stung more than any insult. "But love doesn't pay the bills. Our daughter deserves a stable future, a future you can't provide." She just sat there, silent, her eyes avoiding mine. That silence was the loudest goodbye I'd ever heard. They shattered my world with a single phrase: "You have no money." That night, alone in my tiny apartment, I made a promise to myself. I wasn't going to let their judgment define me. I wasn't going to let poverty be my story. The pain became my fuel. The heartbreak became my motivation. I poured every ounce of my being into my work. I took risks, I learned, I failed, and I got back up again and again. The first year was the hardest. I worked 3 jobs, sleeping only a few hours a night. I ate instant noodles until I couldn't stand the sight of them. Every time I felt like giving up, I'd remember her face, the way she looked away. I'd remember her parents' condescending words. It was a bitter pill, but it kept me going. I started a small online business from my bedroom. It was a tiny seed of an idea, but I nurtured it with sleepless nights and relentless effort. Slowly, things started to change. The first small profit felt like winning the lottery. It wasn't about the money itself. It was proof. Proof that I could do it. Proof that I was more than their narrow definition of me. The business grew year after year. I hired my first employee, then my second. We moved from my bedroom to a small office, then to a bigger one. The boy who had no money was building an empire, brick by painful brick. I never forgot her, but the memory transformed. It was no longer a source of pain, but a milestone, a marker of the man I used to be. I dated other people, but I kept my heart guarded. The experience had taught me a valuable lesson. True worth isn't measured in dollars, but in character, resilience, and integrity. I built a life I was proud of, a life based on my own merits, not on anyone's approval. Then last week, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. Her voice, a little older but unmistakably hers, came through the speaker. She said she'd seen me in a business magazine. She said she was proud of me. She said she'd made a mistake. She wanted to see me. We met at a coffee shop, a world away from the rainy day 5 years ago. She looked beautiful, but there was a sadness in her eyes I hadn't seen before. She talked about her life, the comfortable but unfulfilling path she'd taken. She apologized, her words tumbling out in a rush. "My parents were wrong," she said. "I was wrong. I should have fought for us." I listened quietly, stirring my coffee. The old me, the poor heartbroken boy, would have been ecstatic. He would have seen this as the ultimate victory. But I wasn't that boy anymore. 5 years of struggle and growth had changed me. When she finished, I looked her straight in the eye and said, "I appreciate you saying that, but I need you to understand something. The problem wasn't that I had no money. The problem was that you thought that was all that mattered. You left me because you thought my bank account was empty. But what you failed to see was that my heart was full and my spirit was rich. I spent 5 years building this life, not for you, not to prove your parents wrong, but for me, to prove that I was worthy, regardless of my wealth. I learned to value myself beyond a price tag. And I'm sorry, but I can't go back. I can't be with someone who only saw my worth when it appeared on a financial statement." "You didn't fall in love with me," I continued gently. "You've fallen in love with my success. You're in love with the story, the man in the magazine. But you weren't there for the struggle. You didn't believe in the man who was writing the first chapter. And for that reason, we can't write the next chapter together." She started to cry, but I didn't feel anger or triumph. I just felt a quiet sense of closure. I had finally closed the book on that painful chapter of my life. I paid for our coffees and stood up to leave. "I wish you the best," I said, and I meant it. "I hope you find someone who you can love for who they are, not for what they have. As I walked out into the sunshine, I felt a lightness I hadn't felt in years. I wasn't the poor boy anymore, nor was I just the successful businessman. I was a man who understood that true wealth is about self-respect, resilience, and the courage to build your own future. And that is something no amount of money can buy, and no one can ever take away. Thanks for watching, everyone. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Remember your value, and never let anyone else define it for you. See you in the next video.